array of the personality of Godhead, Amsa, plenary expansion, Amsa, part of, Janmana, born of. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Maitreya continued, O best of the Kuru dynasty, I shall now describe to you the descendants of Swayambhuva Manu, who was born of a part of a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Brahma is a powerful expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although Brahma is Jivatattva, he is empowered by the Lord, and therefore he is considered a plenary expansion of the Supreme Godhead. Sometimes it happens that when there is no suitable living being to be empowered to act as Brahma, the Supreme Lord himself appears as Brahma. Brahma is the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Swayambhu Manu was the direct son of Brahma. The great sage Maitreya is now going to explain about the descendants of this Manu, all of whom are widely celebrated for their pious activities. Before speaking of these pious descendants, Maitreya has already described the descendants of impious activities, representing anger, envy, unpalatable speech, quarrel, fear, and death. Purposely, therefore, he is now relating the history of the life of Dhruva Maharaj, the most pious king within the universe. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागन रघुनाथामृतं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सागन ललिता श्रीविशाखाभितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुती देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे लीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमो. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha. So today we are going to discuss a very powerful topic which is being discussed between Maitreya Muni and Vidurji. So in this verse, Maitreya Muni is continuing his commentary about what happened in the past about Swayambhuva Manu and the disciplic succession, how Lord empowered his devotees. So here Maitreya Muni is saying, Athate Kirte Vamsam. So he is going to Kirta, he is going to glorify, he is going to celebrate uh, the the dynastic success of who? Swayambhu Manu, of the best of the Kurus, Swayambhuvas of Swayambhu Manu. He is going to glorify the dynastic lineage of Swayambhu Manu. And who is saying it? Maitreya Muni is saying, Athate Kirte Vamsam. He is going to glorify a dynasty of whom? Swayambhu Manu, Swayambhusu. And and who did Swayambhu Manu come from? He came from Brahmaji, and Brahmaji came from Garvadakshaya Vishnu. So he is referred here in this context as planary expansion, Amsa. So here he is referred as Amsa. There are two Amsas in this very powerful verse. So Garvadakshaya Vishnu's Amsa is from the navel of Garvadakshaya Vishnu was a lotus, and from the top of the lotus Brahmaji appeared. That is first Amsa. And the second Amsa, which is referred in this verse, is the Amsa of Brahmaji. And who is he? There are many Amsas of Brahmaji, six Kumaras, and we all have discussed that. But in this verse, we're going to focus on Swayambhu Manu. And who is Swayambhu Manu? He is Amsa Brahmaji. So he's Amsa, as this verse is referring to. And here Srila Prabhupada is taking to a level which is very important for all of us, that he is referring Brahmaji as Jivatattva, but beyond the Jivatattva, he is saying he is empowered by the Lord. So today we are going to discuss about empowerment, as to what empowerment is and how to understand empowerment. So, but before that, let's talk about the Vamsam. So, the descendant of Swayambhu Manu are essentially two sons of Swayambhu Manu. They are Priyavrat and Uttanapad. And he had three daughters. Swayambhu Manu had three daughters, Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. And from son Priyavrat, he married Kamya, and he had 10 sons who became rulers of various different countries and continents. Uttanapad, another son, had the prominent son as Dhruva Maharaj, which we all know. He is in the sky, in the lokas, and he was very prominent and he is the son of Uttanapad. And Akuti, the daughter, married Ruchi, and she gave birth to Yagya and Dakshina. They are indirectly incarnations of the Lord as well. And the second daughter in this context, the son of Swayambhuvanu, son and daughters of Swayambhuvanu, is Devahuti, who married to Kardama Muni. And from Kardama Muni, Kapiladev, or the Lord himself, was born along with 9 daughters of Devahuti. And Prasuti married Daksha, and Daksha had 16 daughters. And one of the prominent daughters of Daksha is Mother Sati, who married Lord Shiva. And just prior to this chapter and the prior chapter, we discussed about the pastimes of Daksha, Mother Sati, and Lord Shiva. And we all discussed it in this forum. So, as you can see, this lineage of Swayambhu Manu is very, very powerful. So you see, Lord is empowering someone, and after empowering, he's saying, you go start what you are supposed to start. I'm empowering you. And finally, he appears as the son of the empowered person. So we have to think that when a supreme personality of Godhead is empowering someone, you're not alone here. You're basically going there as a representative. And as you can see, some of these prominent personalities, Kapila Dev, who is Lord himself, appearing as the son of Kardamuni and Devahuti, who came from Swayambhu Manu. Likewise, another personality which we are going to focus in the next 1 or 2 chapters is about Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj is the son of Uttanapad, who is the son of Swayambhu Manu. And Dhruva Maharaj's pastime is very glorious, and we have a lot to learn from that. But the focus of today's discussion is empowerment. How Lord is telling you, go do your duty. I'm going to come and help you out. And this is the emphasizing aspect of Krishna consciousness, that when you are surrendered, you are sufficiently surrendered, the Lord comes out to not only help you, but want to make you extraordinary. That's why Lord does extraordinary things through ordinary people. Most of the people who have done exemplary activities in Krishna consciousness, if you look at it, they're very, very ordinary. They have not, done a lot of great education. Some of them are, physically incapacitated. Some people are alone. Some people, but that is the extent of surrender Lord seeks from the devotee. And when the surrender is sugar coated, or rather powered up by the devotee, Lord comes and helps and makes a ordinary devotee look extraordinary. And the classic example we all know is Prahlad Maharaj. He was born to a demoniac family, but look at the consciousness Prahlad Maharaj had in every step of the way, being around the demons, being around the demons who were training them to really pray and preach Hiranyakashipu. He was just very unique in the appeal. That means being in the worst universities you can think of, Prahlad Maharaj exudes the brilliance of Krishna consciousness from that. So if Prahlad Maharaj from that situation can, we have a much better hope of doing it. So as you can see, the Kapila Muni's path, who was Devahuti's son, he was a renowned sage, and through the lineage of Devahuti, there are very prominent personalities, and the descendant of Prasuti, uh, Mother Sati came, and the argument broke out, and finally Lord Shiva had to take care of the arrogant Daksha. And the descendants of Priyabrat, who is actually the son of Swayambhu Manu, through his son Angirath, he ruled many continents, and with Nabhi and later his son Bharat, whose name our country, our most of the Vedic origins, the Bharat Bhumi or Bharat Varsha is born, is from the descendants of Priyabhat. So you see, this is a glorious Vamsam. As Maitremuni is saying, I'm going to glorify this Vamsam. In this verse, there is a reference to dynasty from Swayambhu Manu, some of these glorious personalities, Dhruva Maharaj, Kapila Dev, Yagya, Bharat Varsha, Bharat, King Bharat, on whose name our country, most of our adopted country, or the Vedic origin country, India, which is the Western name for Bharatvarsha, is born. So let's come back to, but one thing we have to recognize in all this, Lord is empowering devotees. How he is empowering in Bhagavad Gita in 15:15, Krishna mentions that he is the cause of remembrance. Mata Smriti Jnanam Apohanancha, he says. That means he is the source of remembrance. Smriti. He is the source of knowledge. Jnanam. And after giving all this, he can take it away also. How? Apohanamcha. That means he can take away he can give you forgetfulness, and he can take all these things away. So we should recognize the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness all comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is residing in everyone's heart. So when He is asking you to go and do your duty, when He's asking you to go, and if you're playing the game of cricket, He's asking you to go and bat. There are situations when there are personalities who have mentioned that sometimes they go and perform which they have never thought about. That's when they think someone else is actually playing for him. When you become conscious, you have that element of surrender. So, Lord, let his devotees go and empower them. And when they empower them, Lord's powers get into the devotees. And they do, the ordinary devotees, they end up doing extraordinary things. So, if you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he trained, he did not preach much outside Eastern India. He was mostly located as Kshetra Sannyasi, as they mentioned. So he was basically holding the fort, but actually, whenever he would go out, Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, um, he trained Rupa Goswami just for 10 days. Just for 10 days, he trained Rupa Goswami in Prayagraj. in Prague, the current Allahabad, he, uh, during intensive period of instructing Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, imparted the most confidential knowledge of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. We are from the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. We are origin from Brahmaji and Madhavacharyaji, and Gaudiya philosophy is ingrained in ISKCON. So Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is imparted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami in just 10 days in Prague. And that's all. And you'll see that those imprints of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu training Rupa Goswami if you visit the Tota Gopinath temple in the inscription on the walls. He would be seeing training Rupa Goswami on the Vedic philosophy for just 10 days. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 2 months in Banaras trained Sanatan Goswami. After Sanatan Goswami was released, or rather escaped from prison, after he renounced his post from who was a minister, he was very rich at that time, and he just imparted the knowledge to Sanatan Goswami for 2 months. And what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote? He just wrote Sistashtakam. He didn't write a lot of things. But through this training to to these empowered devotees to whom he empowered, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, one of the six prominent Goswami of our movement, he changed the entire concept of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. So as you can see, the empowerment is significant. Just the training, our ability to empower someone to excel is critical, and that's the reason why we have an opportunity. If we really want to take it further, it is important that empowered devotees are empowered to do magnificent things. And that's the quality of a great personality. And and after that, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he started, 3, 4 centuries later in the 19th century. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was born in Jagannath Puri, he preached in India, but he couldn't preach outside India. If you see, he had 64 Gaudiya mutts, and he preached in a scale, but within India. But he did not preach in every town and village of this entire world. And for that, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions, that this powerful Harinam or the powerful Sankirtan has to go in every town and village. But at that time, every town and village was probably Eastern India or India as such. It was not preached outside India. So what did Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did? He empowered Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, to preach in every town and village. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement that my name would be uttered in every town and village was not fulfilled until 1966, when the disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciples, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was empowered by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to preach in every town and village, was realized. Because when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, preach in every town and village, he didn't say which town and village. He said every town and village. And every town and village came into the map of Harinam with Srila Prabhupada's empowered journey and his onset into this Western world. And from there, it didn't end. Actually, Srila Prabhupada empowered seven personalities: Mukunda Prabhu and Janki Mataji, Sham Sundar Prabhu and Malati Mataji, and Guru Das Prabhu and Yamuna Mataji. And at the time, they had Sham Sundar Prabhu and Malati Mataji had a daughter, infant daughter named Saraswati. So the seven were sent as empowered devotees to open uh, Krishna consciousness in England or in Europe, and with a lot of difficulty, the three couples who were living in different parts of London, they had they hardly had any money, and many times they have mentioned they wanted to come back from England back to US because it was not going well. It was very difficult for them to preach in England, and people are not taking to the Kirtan, the Bhagavad Gita the way they wanted. And finally, after a lot of failed attempts, they met the Beatles star George Harrison. And before that, their discussion with Beatles had also failed many times. So, but they did not give up. They were about to give up, but the constant letters from Srila Prabhupada kept them going, and the inspiration was about to die. And at times when they had very little money to survive, they were all parked in very shabby places in London, and they had a lot of difficulty. I mean, if you think about the history of ISKCON's evolution in various different countries, it is very painful for devotees in Africa. Also, there are pastimes of devotees who are killed for Krishna consciousness by terrorists. So when they were about to give it up, and after so many failed attempts, finally they could connect with George Harrison, and he sang the popular uh, Western song glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that came into the label charts, and then slowly and slowly, east in the European area, ISKCON started, and it started like 3 years after the start of ISKCON in New York City in 1966, around 68, 69. It started, and finally it grew wings in other parts of Europe. And now what you see is the power of empowerment, which is nothing but if you truly empower devotees to do big things, they will end up doing big things. So coming back to this beautiful verse, Maitreya Muni is saying, Athate kirte vamsam. That means I shall describe to you the power of this vamsam dynasty, and they are virtuous, punya krite, celebrated for virtuous activities, and who they are going to glorify? They're going to glorify the dynasty of Swayambhu Manu, and and the expansion of expansion, Amsa, the planetary expansion is Swayambhu Manu. Uses the word Amsa twice in this verse, and then Srila Prabhupada speaks that when Lord is empowering you to do uh, things He has asked you to do, He is going to stand. And there is a beautiful pastime of how Lord is standing by His devotees. If you have heard about the pastime the uh, of the grandfather of Pratap Rudra was born during the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but two dynasties ahead of Pratap Rudra is is another pastime of Kanchi Abhijan, you may have heard, where Lord is empowering his devotee king to go and win the heart of the princess of Kanchi, and he loses the first time because he didn't really uh, take the authority of the Lord, and he just went by himself, thinking that will win the battle with Kanchi as he was invading South India. And and the next time, Lord says, I'm going to be with you. And uh, the Lord Jagannath and Baladev in a white horse and a black horse are going, and they stop by in a buttermilk uh, place, and they ask for some buttermilk on the way, and the person doesn't, and they don't have money to give, and the milk woman says that there are two people who are there to take milk or buttermilk from me, and they've gone ahead and they told me to collect the bounty or the price from the king who is coming behind. And when king realized that the Lord has gone ahead to protect him, he realized the win is his. And then from Kanchi, they got Ganeshji, which is inside the Puri temple. You go and see, and finally there is a huge pastime around. But essentially, the point is when Lord is empowering and Lord is going with you to fight in your side, the win is bound to be yours. And and this verse is all about empowering devotees and and realizing that we are insignificant, but when Lord joins us, it is significant enough for anyone to ever think of. So, with that, I'd like to end today's discussion. Thank you for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madam. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day and the auspicious month ahead, the month of Kartik. We would like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Prahlade Jaya Padmane
Ugram Viram,
Ugra Vira Mahavitam Charantam Sarvasaukam
Singha Vishnu
Krishna
Bhadram, Timritim
Bhadratam
Namamyam,
Namamyam.
Singha
Nrsimha Bhagwan
Ki
ki jai,
Jai,
Prahlad ki
Ki Jai.
jai. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, Bancha Kalpatarupaish Kripa, Sindhu Bhakti
Paditanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo,
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namaha,
Namo Namaha Vaishnavinda ki jai.
Ki Jai.
ग्रंथ राज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So the morning and evening lighting candles to Radha Damodar will start from today, and the vows of Kartik will start from today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.